Good afternoon. Do you remember a little while ago I found a bit of an anomaly in the online car data, and I realised that there were quite a lot of EVs that appeared to have been declared off the road when they weren't really that old? Well, I filed a Freedom of Information request and, well, they've got back to me, and the data, it's even more bizarre than I expected. So let's take a look at what is going on with cars being declared off the road. This is the Freedom of Information request, FOI R12918. Good morning. Please see attached a reply to your Freedom of Information request regards the Freedom of Information request team. So, dear Jeffrey Thompson, here we go. Let's find what I requested. Thank you for your email 6th of November requesting information. You asked, please can you tell me how many SORNs were made, but only of cars that are less than 6 years old, by year and by fuel type. So that is broken down by age of vehicle and propulsion, fuel type, data for the last 6 years. They said the recorded information held by the DVLA is within the scope of your request, so it can be found in the attached spreadsheet. And what they've done as well is they have broken down the cars in the way that I requested, but they have also, for the purpose of this FOI, called cars these: 2-door saloon, 4-door saloon, saloon, convertible, coupe, estate, 3-door hatch, 5-door hatch, sports, tourer, MPV. So that's all the vehicles that are within the data set. The information which follows concerns the procedures for making any complaint you might have about the reply. Please quote the reference number, yada yada, Mark Chatham. Thank you very much, Mark. And the data looks like this. It's quite confusing, so I made my own spreadsheet because I know you love a spreadsheet. Right, in order to understand this data, first what we need to do is understand what the table is. So it provides the number of cars which are declared off the road within the first 6 years of the date of registration. So these are cars that are less than 6 years old that for some reason have been declared off the road. Why would you SORN, i.e. declare a car off the road, if it's only 6 years old? So let's just, for people who perhaps don't live in the UK, explain what SORN means. So SORN is a statutory off-the-road notification, a formal declaration to the DVLA that you are taking your vehicle off public roads. So why would you SORN a car? To save money, tax and insurance. If you're not driving the car, there's no point in paying for it. Your road tax, you don't pay when you SORN a car. And insurance, under UK law, a car must be insured if it's taxed, even if it's sitting on a driveway. The only legal way to cancel your insurance without getting a fine is to SORN the vehicle first. There are other reasons. If the car needs repairs or perhaps it's failed an MOT and it's going to be off the road for a little while, maybe then you would SORN the vehicle. Or seasonal use, classic cars and convertibles, it might be that you only want to tax your car for the sunny 6 months. Sorry, did I just say that? What do you think this is, lockdown? You might only want to tax your car for the sunny 5 minutes that the UK actually gets. So you can only tax your car for 6 months, you might do it for that. Or if the car is being restored, perhaps a project car, it's months off the road, so it's SORN for that. That, or an extended absence, obviously. If you're leaving the country and you want to park your car up and leave it here, you don't want to tax it while you're away, so you would SORN it. This one says buying or selling delays, but I can't see many reasons that you'd do that. If someone inherits a car but isn't ready to sell or drive it, they would SORN it immediately. I can't really see many cases where that would be happening. Things to remember, it must be on private land, it is immediate, and it does not expire. I think it used to, actually. You used to have to renew a SORN, but correct me if I'm wrong. So that's the reasons that you would declare a car off the road. So, cars are taken off the road to save money, await repairs for winter or extended absence. How many 6-year-old cars have been SORNed according to the Freedom of Information request? Well, that data is here, as you know, and I have distilled that down into this sheet. So here we go, the meat of the video, and there are some shockers in here. For context, I've also put in the number of cars that were registered in 2024. We're going to take the 2024 data. I've got the data for the last 6 years, so it allows me to work out the increase year on year. So let's go straight in with electric cars. Right. In 2024, there were 381,970 electric cars registered, of which 18,750 are SORN. So 4.9% of cars of the 381,000 are currently on SORN. Now, but there's a few people in the room that have realised this number here, 18,750, is cars up to 6 years old, but this number here is brand new cars. They are 1 year old. So the percentage of cars registered that year is not necessarily applicable. But the thing to know is there's 20,000 EVs declared off the road in 2024. However, when we look at petrol hybrid, it gets really weird. You can see as well, we've got the average age of these cars. So the average age of these 18,000 EVs that are SORN is 4.3 years. The average age of the petrol hybrids is 5.3. However, look at the jump. It is huge. There's 63,000 hybrid electric cars were SORNed. These are fresh SORNs. These are new SORNs in 2024. 63,000 cars taken off the road in 2024. 18,000 electric cars taken off the road in 2024. So what I was expecting to find in the data, confirmation bias and Geoff spreads misinformation and all that sort of stuff, I was hoping that what I would find is loads of EVs. That I would expect this number to have another 1 on the front, proving that all the EVs are being registered and declared off the road. But interestingly, it seems to be happening with the hybrid electrics, not the pure EVs. So what about petrol then? Petrol, we've got 1 million cars were registered in 2024, so more than twice the numbers that we've got over here. However, we've only got 7,900 petrol cars within 6 years old that are SORN. Now, make this make sense then when you look at the numbers over here. Also, the average age of that petrol car is 16.7 years. So the cars are 3 times as old, but there's far less of them that are being declared off the road. You can see that although my original hypothesis about electric cars was not necessarily spot on, there's something very strange going on in the data. And it gets even weirder when we look at diesel. Because diesel, the number of vehicles that were SORNed, new SORNs created in 2024, is minus 7,929. I'm not lying. It's in the data. You can distill it all down from the original data. I've just cleaned it up a little bit. So that means that in 2024, 8,000 additional diesels came out of storage and were registered back on the road. So considering only 123,000 diesels were allegedly registered in 2024, they're having to pull them out of storage because demand for diesels is that high. Now, that flies directly in the face of what the media is telling us about electric and petrol electric sales. It does not make sense that 63,192 hybrids were declared SORN in 2024. Please, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but these are as well, let me clarify, additional numbers for each year. So that doesn't mean that in 2024 there were 63,000 hybrid electrics SORNed. No, there's more, because that's just the ones that have been registered off the road in that year. Sorry if I'm labouring the point. So there's 63,000 hybrid electric cars SORNed, 18,000 EVs, and only 7,900 petrol cars on SORN. Interestingly, 7,900 diesels went back on the road. That is pretty much it for this video, but what it does show is that I was correct. There are strange things going on in the SORNing of electric vehicles, for want of a better word. The petrol hybrid thing is even worse. There must be a massive amount of petrol hybrid cars in storage somewhere in the country if these numbers are correct. How can we have 63,000 cars declared off the road in 2024 when they're all petrol hybrids, which are the ones that we're being told that people are buying? I don't have the answers. I'm looking forward to your comments. I'm looking forward to someone saying I'm wrong. And I don't mind making a second video saying, oh, actually, I got it all wrong. But I don't think I have got it wrong. Look, this is the original data. And you can see if you go down to hybrid electric here, 65,216 SORNs registered in 2024. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand fully what's going on, but I can tell you what is going on. This. There are no diesel cars stored anywhere in the country because everybody's bought them and put them back on the road. So make of that what you will. That is my freedom of information request. I hope you enjoyed the video and it made sense. I think there's more to talk about on this subject. I'm not completely convinced that this is the end of it, but we shall see. I'm going to keep digging and I will keep trying to find out where all these cars are because it doesn't make sense to me that these cars have gone missing, particularly when you look at the petrol, some of the dates and the age of some of the petrol cars. Look, average age of the car in days, electricity, in 2024, it's 1,500. So we're at what, a few years? But if you look at petrol, we're up to like 17,000, and there's even some steam cars that were registered off the road, and the average age of them in days is 40,879. So again, there's the data. That is my analysis. I hope it all makes sense, and let me know what you think in the comments. As I said, I think there's more to say on this one. Thank you very much indeed for watching.